All right, everybody. My name is Derek Scranton, a realtor. I'm here in the Palm Beach County area. I'm also licensed in California, and I have a five-star agent network all across the country. So no matter where you are in the country, I can help you buy or sell your home. So today with me, I have Peter Traum. He is my go-to favorite lender, and we're here talking about what happens when So your offer's been accepted. Now what? So from the buyer's agent point of view, let's just say hypothetically I'm representing the buyer in this situation. We have the signed agreement. It's bilaterally signed between the buyer and the seller. They've agreed on something. So I would then deliver it to your lender, which I hope is Peter, and and he's gonna take it. And then what are you gonna do next? Like, how do you get from here to the close? What are all the steps?
Okay. So hopefully you, as a buyer, you've gone through our power bid approval process, which is getting your approval ahead of actually going under contract. So, but let's assume that you haven't, and I'll go back to that in a moment. So at this point in time, depending on how long it's been since we looked at your original documents like pay stubs, we may ask you to update the file. Things generally need to be within 30 days. So if they've gotten a little bit out of date, we're going to ask you to scan us a pay stub or two. We've probably got your W-2s, tax returns if you're self-employed. Perhaps, you sent us a bank statement that might be getting a little bit old. We might ask you to send us an updated bank statement, and we're going to get the file all set. We're likely to get in touch with your employer to get a written verification of employment for the file. And then we're going to package it all up, our team, and we're going to send it into the underwriter who's going to issue an initial approval. Now, this can all happen while there's a home inspection being scheduled or a home inspection that's being done, or maybe negotiation over things that have come up in the home inspection. We're going to jump right in once we have the contract and do everything we can to move it through the underwriting process as quickly as possible. So the underwriter will get that file within 24 to 48 hours. They're going to issue an approval, and they're going to let us know, is there anything else that they need? If we've done a good job, which we always aim to do, it's going to be a very short list. You're going to need a title search and a title insurance policy, which will happen, usually within a week or two from the time you go under contract. You'll need to go out and select your homeowner's insurance agent. Maybe that's a company that you use, or you could shop around and pick who you want. You're going to let us know who you're going to use. We're going to get in touch with them. And then that information, once an appraisal is done, which usually will happen once you're satisfied with the results of your home inspection, assuming that you do one, which we think is wise, that's all going to go back into the file and back to the underwriter. And the underwriter is going to take one more look at that file. It's going to sign off on all of those items, and they're going to issue what's called a clear to close, which means from the lender's perspective, we're good to go. It doesn't have to go back to the underwriter. They've basically given their blessing that you can go to closing. And then you're really just waiting for that big day to come where you sit down and you get your keys.
That's great. And then let's not forget about the closing disclosure, which is something that is that I've been personally in a transaction that got overlooked, and it inadvertently pushed things where it's a document that essentially everybody has to sign, right? Which pretty much lays everything out. And then it's a federal law that says that you have to wait at least, is it the third day that you can close, or is it
3 days? Yeah, it's a 3-day waiting period. Yeah.
So let's just say today is Tuesday. Would it be the soonest we could close would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or would it be Thursday?
If it goes out today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you're going to put me on the spot. It's not my area of expertise, but I'm going to say Friday.
So Friday. So it would be like 3 full days.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then once you have that, once that's been done and the clear to close has been issued, because you do the clear to close first and then you do the CD, right?
Right. So the CD, the closing disclosure, as the lender, the federal government asks us to send out a draft closing disclosure. So it's not actually the final document. But in years past, sometimes people have gotten to the closing table and they said, oh my, I had no idea I needed to bring this much money. So the government decided wisely a couple of years ago, let's make sure that people have a pretty good idea of what they need to bring to the closing table, and they have an opportunity to review those numbers have 3 days to think about it so that they don't get to the closing table and get a surprise. So there are certain things that have no tolerance, they cannot change. So the title company, or if you're in a state where there are attorneys, will prepare that closing disclosure with the final numbers once we've done the draft. But the buyers have to sign that they've received the draft of the closing disclosure from us, and then that begins that 3-day waiting period. During that 3-day waiting period, the actual closing disclosure will be prepared with the numbers to the penny.
Right, and then you're like balancing with the title company on that one.
Correct. Yep, making sure
You're doing that during that 3-day period.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Very interesting. And then once they're all balanced and everything, and you've signed your CD and the clear to close has all been issued, then really it's just a matter of when you guys are closing. Now, this is generally predetermined on the contract, the day. And usually conservatively you would have pushed out that closing date to allow for any kind of like hiccups, because hiccups do happen in this business.
Sure.
But let's just say that everything's good. The CD has been signed, you got the clear to close, everything's balanced with the title company and the lender, everything's good to go. There's nothing that says that if you and the seller, you being the buyer and the seller, agree to close earlier than that, then you can, right?
As long as that 3-day waiting period has gone by, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the last thing that happens in there is that the title company, once the closing disclosure is finalized, or CD as we call it, they're going to let you as the buyer know, here's how much money you need to bring with you. And they're going to give you instructions on how to bring that money to closing. In most cases, they want it wired.
Right.
But you might also be able to go to the bank and get a bank check to do that, but you'll have to go and have your funds either set up to be wired to be there on the day of closing, or so you can bring that check with you.
Yeah, I'd recommend that you just do the wire, and you always want to verify those wire instructions with
100%.
independently verified phone number to the title company, so that you're not
verbally. Yeah, right. There's a lot of fraud out there. That's actually a very wise suggestion.
Yes, wire fraud is a real thing. I've never actually have personally experienced it before, but I'm also very diligent about warning my clients explicitly. Don't.
I've had clients that got the emails asking them to send it somewhere that was not the title company, but thankfully they identified it and were able to delete it and put it in the trash and not take action on it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so you had a close call, huh?
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
But yeah, I mean, and then that's pretty much it. And then in terms of funding, so let's just say the close date happens. Is there an ideal time of day to do the closing from your perspective?
I mean, from my perspective, trying to do it first thing in the morning sometimes is not the best. Not that it can't be done, but if I were doing it, I would try and set it up late morning or after, whatever works for all parties. I just wouldn't do it first thing in the morning. That always seems to be.
I was talking to the title person, a title person recently, and they said the same thing. They said their ideal time to do closings is sometime in the late morning, so between 10 and noon or something like that, because it's not first thing, and then if there's anything, it gives plenty of time for everything to happen.
Right.
So yeah.
One thing I said I was going to get back to was just what we call our power bid approval. And if you happen to be working with a different lender, there are certainly good lenders out there. You can ask them if they do it. Is we offer the opportunity for clients to get a full underwriting approval while they're still looking for a home. And we highly recommend that for a number of reasons. It makes you a stronger buyer when you make a bid, but it's also taking one more thing off the table when it's not as stressful. So think about, you've gotten pre-approved, and now you're first going to go out and look at houses this weekend or in a couple of weeks. And you are now in the process at the same time of getting your underwriting approval. So I have you send me a couple of pay stubs, a W-2, and a bank statement. And while you're out there looking for a house with Derek, we're putting it through underwriting, and the underwriter is signing off so that you've got that part out of the way. Then you're 90% of the way done with the mortgage process. So now you go under contract, and now you're thinking about things like packing and movers and insurance and home inspections and other negotiations that come up. Well, imagine if now you don't have to deal with the mortgage process because you've already done it. So we're one of the few lenders I'm aware of that will get you your full underwriting approval before you've gone under contract. If you happen to be working with another lender that you like, ask them if they can possibly do that, because the sooner you can get that out of the way, it's just one less headache you're going to have to deal with. While there's so many things once you're under contract that you're going to have to be thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, then the final steps is just it gets funded, it gets recorded, so that the title actually officially changes hands there. And then once those two things have happened, then you should be able to get your keys to that place because it's actually legally yours at that point. So that's pretty much the process. Peter, I really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through this today. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to him directly, or if you need his contact info, you can just call me or text me or whatever, and I'll send you his contact card. But anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day.
All right, have a good day. Take care.